All right, so welcome back. So today what I'm actually going to talk about is the really some tips for making the user experience for the Pocket 2 a little bit more, enjoyable. And the main reason is because when I was watching reviews for this, there were people that complained about certain things. And when I got it, I didn't really have those same complaints, but then I realized going back and looking at their video that they were doing things different than what I was doing. Now, in my mind, the first thing I do when I get a device is I pour through the manual just to make sure I'm using it the right way. Because number one, I don't want to do something wrong and break it. Or maybe I'm getting ready to not recommend something or complain about it just to find out in the manual that I've been doing it incorrectly and it would be a much better experience if I had just read the book. But then there were some things in the manual that actually weren't even covered. Like, for instance, taking the darn thing out of the case. Because that was, like I said, one of the complaints that I heard. Now, I have the Do It All handle that actually came inside of the creator combo. Don't plan on ever taking this off. So if you don't have this, maybe taking this out of the case might be a little more difficult because, once again, that was one of the things I kept hearing. It's weird to take out, eventually get used to it. But when I got it, I didn't have that problem. So the way that I take it out of the case is I actually kind of rock it backwards, and I'll show it to you like this, and it comes right out. And the reason why I do that is because when I looked at this device when I got it, I realized that they have on the inside these raised bumps. And then these individual sides provide tension, which actually keep the device inside of the case. Well, if you're taking it out the other way, where people were just trying to like peel it out this way, what you're doing now is you're actually stretching this every time you do that. And what I think, because this is a plastic material, it's going to create fatigue on this material, and you're eventually going to use that force, that clamping force that you actually get from this. So, me personally, I wouldn't take it out that way. It makes more sense to me to take it out the other way because up here you don't have that tension, and all you have to do is just rock it backwards and it comes right out. Hopefully you were able to see that. All right, I'll show you again. So once again, I'm holding it right there. I'm locking it backwards. Comes right out. Easy peasy. And that leads me right back into my next thing, which is putting it in the case. Now, this is actually something that's covered inside of the manual. Once again, when I was listening to reviewers, and there were a few people commenting that they were having a hard time not hitting the power button when it's in the case. The fact is, the power button should be facing downward. If you look at the manual, I forget what page it's on, it actually shows the a picture of it facing the other way. So as long as you have it facing this way, guess what? You don't hit the button. And the way the case is designed, you can actually put it the other way so the button is up. So if hitting the power button is an issue, once again, put it in there the right way, you won't have a problem. Storing the tripod. This is another one that I could not find in the manual. However, when I got it in, I realized there was a quarter thread that's actually on the case. So, and I had the tripod, and I was like, well, what the heck do I do with this thing? And then just one day, I'm like, I'm just going to put it on here. And I did. And guess what? It appears to work well. Frankly, I would like to believe, okay, if I can just get it in there now, it was working well. Okay, there we go. So yeah, it goes in there, and then you can just keep turning it until you get it back straight, and then just put it down flat, and now it's on the case. And now you have everything that you need when you go to transport this thing versus trying to carry the tripod separately, and because it's so small, you could lose it. Let's see, what's the next tip? Oh yeah. So next tip for me that was helpful was using the object tracking versus the face tracking. If you watch my previous video, I don't like the face tracking. It moves all over the place. It's not usable to me. Object tracking, I believe, works better. And then you could also set your framing a little bit better because you can like draw the box around here and then you don't have all this headroom. So I would say the object tracking definitely, in addition to that, if you're going to be stepping away from the camera more than 12 feet, you may not even have an option because from what I could tell, I couldn't get face tracking to work past 12 feet. But I had object tracking working all the way out to like 80 something feet. So I would definitely do object tracking, if you were going to go further away from the camera. Um, if you're vlogging, I really just don't see a need to use either or because the camera's right there. But totally up to you if that's what you want to do. I would just lock it down and just walk around and shoot. Um, the one thing I can say about the object tracking, the further away the camera gets, the great thing is, depending on how you draw your box. So if you draw your box around the entire person, if you're tracking a person, then the further away you get, I believe it's easier for the camera to track you, only because, now the distance that that person is moving isn't the same. It's actually shorter on the sensor because you're further out. So if I went, 40 feet and I moved a foot, well, in the frame, you're going to move a further distance. But if I went 80 feet inside of the frame, you're actually moving a shorter distance because you're further away from the camera. And because of that, I believe it actually has an easier time processing and keeping up. I think the next time I test it and I'm like 80 feet away, I'm going to see how fast I can move before it loses me. To me, the limitation is probably going to be Bluetooth, because I'm imagining at some point it's probably going to start cutting out. But I did not have that problem. Like the app worked fine and the tracking worked fine. So yeah, I would say going back to the original point, definitely object tracking over face tracking. And then the last tip here is to always have adequate light because it's a smaller sensor. And what I've noticed is as soon as I start cranking up the ISO, it introduces a lot of grain and it just does not look good to me. But in my case, I live in Colorado, so we have a lot of sunny days out of the year. More than enough light when I'm outside in most cases. And sometimes too much, which is one of the reasons why I got one of the accessories I'm going to talk about. But definitely use a lot of light or have a lot of light, properly lit phone or frames or properly lit footage, and you should be fine. Just have reasonable expectations for this sensor. Okay, so now that I talked about the tips, I'm going to jump into the accessories that I decided to pick up for the DJI Pocket 2. To me, the first one was a no-brainer. The majority of my time I'm going to be using this device is going to be outside. And because I live in Colorado Springs and it is always sunny here, even when it snows, like the day afterwards, very, very bright conditions. And I didn't want to have overexposed footage. So I bought these Freewell veritable neutral density filters. And I have a claw off in here because they're so tiny. Every time I touch them, it seems like I touch the glass. So I didn't want to have fingerprints on the lenses. But this is what they look like. I'll show them to you. Yeah, and they have little rings on them. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see how close I can get. Probably not much closer because then I'll be in my focus or minimum focus distance. So yeah, that's what they look like. But they have dials on the front. You can turn them. One of them is 2 to 5 stops. The other one is 6 to 9 stops. And I've used them. Once again, I think they're a must-have if you're going to be using this camera outside. And I actually decided to just buy them a little bit early because I didn't want other people to like make a mad dash and start buying them whenever this camera was, actually released, and then I couldn't get a hold of them. So bought these, and I think I bought these. They came in probably like a week before the camera came in. Actually, you know what? I bought these after the camera was released, but before I got the camera is what I should say. Moving right along, the next thing that I purchased was the Ulanzi BG2. I have to read this from the screen because it's a lot of stuff. 6,800 milliamp power bank hand grip, which is this bad boy. So I actually have the Y splitter that actually comes with the DJI in here because you can charge 2 devices. Thought process for this is if I'm out and about, it actually has a quarter thread turn on the bottom, so you can attach this to the Osmo if you want, because it is a hand grip after all. And yeah, you can just take the USB, plug it into your USB-C, and now you're charging the device. I don't know if you can see this, but the light's on and it's charging. The funny thing about this is you actually, technically, if you wanted to hook up your phone, you can hook your phone up using something like this Manfrotto cell phone holder that actually came with this mini tripod. So you could technically put this at the bottom of this. Maybe I'll just do it and put up some B-roll and you can have like an all-in-one camera at the top, phone at the bottom, so you can actually work the app and walk around and you can vlog. I think this would be a really good setup. And I guess since I actually brought up the Manfrotto stuff, I didn't buy the Manfrotto stuff for this particular setup. I actually already had that because I was using it for other things. But because I have been using it for this device, I kind of wanted to mention it. So this is their mini tripod. And there's a kit where you can actually get, at least when I bought it, you could get the mini tripod with this cell phone holder. So the reason why I like this is because I'm not a huge fan of the plug for the cell phone with the Pocket 2 dangling off the side of it. So what I could do is I can actually take this device, all right, or if I'm having it sitting up, I mean, if you can technically vlog with this also if you wanted to, but you could take this device and then I have a mount here. I have various ones, but this is the one I decided to use. I actually reviewed this on my channel already, so I might put a link up to it so you can actually check it out. But basically, you mount the Osmo here, and then you mount the phone in front of you. So now if you were walking around, or if you just have this sitting down, which is what I normally do, maybe it's sitting on my table and I'm talking to it, but now I can see my phone and I can actually see the camera. I can look right at the lens. I mean, it's really convenient. And because I have the do it all handle, I don't have to physically connect a wire to the camera. I can just basically turn on the app and I'm good, you know, because it'll connect through Bluetooth. So yeah, these items actually, they help. I'm not saying you need them because I honestly believe with all the stuff that's included with the creator combo, it's more than enough. I don't actually think you really need anything else, but I say that and I may be speaking prematurely. And who knows, maybe someone comes out with some neat thing that actually works even better for something like this. For the price of these, once again, I have to put the link up, but these weren't very expensive. The one thing that I did that was a little bit different for the power bank hand grip is I added some grips. I have some heart-shaped grips there. I bought them from this company. Actually, the story of the company was their son had like Down syndrome and he was having a hard time holding things. So he kind of designed these various grips in different shapes and they just stick on. But I like these just because when I first got this, and it's just metal, you know, paint it black or whatever, and it's like very slick, and I didn't like that considering I was going to put my camera on top. But I bought these, stuck them on, they work fine. So if you like, I can put a link for that as well. But otherwise, that's it. If you have any questions about any of the devices that, you know, or any of the stuff that we covered in this video today, or I covered in this video today, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, click like, subscribe, and Agent Fit signing out.